Andreas here with Zauberberg Kennels, letting you see a regular training session with a Doberman Otto that has been with us for training within the Elite in-home training program. The thing is that it's not very helpful to just conduct training sessions. We want to train the dog while we are doing our regular life things, such as being in the kitchen cooking dinner. We don't want the dog to climb in the fridge when we open it or jump on us when we have any delicious food for ourselves in our hands. Here I'm just preparing some food, and as he is around, maybe offering behaviors such as sitting or downing or whatever he does, other than climbing onto the counter or pestering us or going into the trash. We reward those behaviors that are not those that we don't want. So whatever it is that he does, usually just not bothering us, keeping a little distance, I will, just by chance, reward. And I most likely reward into a direction away from the action or away from me. That he learns, oh, the reward is coming somewhere else, behind me, away from me. Me in terms of me, Andreas. So I orient myself to away from Andreas because the reward is coming somewhere at a distance. He is a little excited, but we have the electric collar on, and if you might realize, I have the Freehands Dogtra electric collar Bluetooth button on my hand, showing you how convenient it can be, because I'm ready anytime anything would occur that I would like him to feel bad about. I can just hit the button without reaching for the remote and be right on target with my timing. It just makes sense if you would get into the trash right now and I wouldn't have the button on my hand. By the time I grab the control from wherever it is and hit the button to punish a wrong behavior, it would be way too late. If we see any bad behaviors, they should be punished immediately and consistently for a while. In between, I verbally praise him for good behaviors, and if you notice, I have hot dogs sitting there on the counter to the right that I just occasionally, when I see something good from him, grab a piece and toss it to him. So he is doing behaviors that are not really intended to be. Just being good and well behaved leads to reward. Very infrequently, so you can't predict when it's going to come, so it doesn't really work particularly for a reward. The reward is coming to his surprise at various moments of the whole scenario. His dinner in the dish is sitting on top of the counter by the sink as well, and he knows that. So he knows that eventually he'll get it, but he doesn't know when. So the unpredictability makes him not really chase after it at the moment. And once I grab it and get ready to present it to him, we will ask for a sit or down in order to make me give it to him. Went very well through my procedure of preparing the lettuce, so I slipped him a hot dog. Good boy. Good behaviors are rewarded, and therefore they'll get stronger. Bad behaviors will be punished, therefore they will get less. He has been through this a few times, so there's barely any bad behavior, if any, during the whole process. And like I said, if there would be, I'm ready. Finger on the button. And you see that totally unprepared, unpredictable, a hot dog pops into his face or on the floor just while I'm preparing my own food. That leads to the fact that if I prepare my own food and he sees that, he's not really chasing after my food. He knows that if he behaves well, eventually a hot dog will pop. And as I said, it pops away from the scene. So he's orienting himself away from the hotspot of kitchen counter, cutting board, meat perhaps, whatever there is that they would typically go nuts about. So the rule of don't feed the dog from the table is just a myth, because he can get it from the table, but he is actually engaging in the reward someplace else once he separates himself from it. So I put it there and check him out. If he would intend to chase it or go after it, he does not. He has learned that if he sees it on the counter, it's going to come to him eventually if he's behaving the way he does. Long time in between with no hot dog popping. Here's the next one. Unpredictable. There's no certain time frame. It'll come back to him over and over. It's just occasionally very unpredictable, not within a certain time frame. But of course, always when behavior is according to my liking. Now I'm placing some hot dogs right at the counter edge, very attractive, easily accessible to him. He's a big dog. He could just go and get it, but through training, he has learned that if he goes after it himself, it could have bad consequences. So if he waits, it'll eventually come to him. And here the trick is, or the purpose, he knows it's on the counter edge, 3 or 4 pieces, and if he doesn't go after it, if he doesn't chase, if he doesn't engage in that, it'll come from a different spot. So there was twice now where during the time or the picture that the hot dogs are on the edge of the counter, readily available if he wants to. If he doesn't go after it, it comes from me. It's making the hot dogs being on the counter be a signal that something good is coming from me. And here you saw it's coming from the counter, but of course not during his engagement into the hot dogs on the counter physically. He holds excellent behavior during food preparation and kitchen work for quite some time. He's absolutely solid without being told to go on the place and be nailed to a certain spot to block his activity. I can have him around and just be non-restricted because he's totally on the path of reward is presented at the time he behaves the way I like it. There's still pieces of hot dog on the counter by the sink, and eventually he'll get it, especially if he's not focused on it. Notice I'm not telling him, no, don't do this, don't do that. That communication would come through the collar if I see anything that I want to extinguish or get rid of in his behavior repertoire. So I just would focus on depressing bad behaviors and reward the good ones. And I'm very well on my way to have long duration of well-behaved Doberman in the kitchen during food preparation. So I'm leaving the kitchen. He could have chosen to stay in the kitchen and trick me and get the hot dogs off the counter, but he has learned that I am the main focus of the whole interaction, and not the counter, not the food. See here, he sees his food and he's offering behaviors such as sitting and downing. Now I ask him to down, and he gets his dinner.
Yeah,
On release command, of course.